Round 2 of the SMRC eSports Championships brings us all the way to Charlotte Motor Speedway, the home of NASCAR. Tonight we race on the 17-turn Roval course, using part of the banked speedway and also the twisting infield, which once again is going to give us great racing. And Andy Alston joins myself, Duncan, Vincent, in our virtual sim broadcast commentary box. And after round 1 at Road Atlanta, we had a pair of wins for Fraser Williamson and defending champ Stuart McFadden. He got his tally off the mark. And let's see what awaits us here. It is action-packed, we can guarantee that. And Andy Alston, what else are we expecting from the Roval?
Well, if we thought the first event was full of drama, then there really is more in store here, because this is a track that's got that technical infield section, as you mentioned, but it's also lined with punishing barriers, meaning there's almost no room for error. And with 37 cars on track for this one, we're all set for 3 great races.
If you're a NASCAR fan, Charlotte is what you will love. Chip Ganassi Racing are just down Interstate 85. They're not far from the actual racetrack. It is the centre of NASCAR in North Carolina. And let's have a little look at what we're dealing with today. There's certainly no chance of rain. It's not very windy at all. And, well, there is, of course, the Roval, the 17-turn Roval. You can see we utilise NASCAR bankings from what we will have turn 9 all the way through to around about turn 15, with a little chicane in the mix at the top and bottom. You can see there just before they go through the last turn 3 and turn 4 of the speedway, and also just before the actual finish line themselves. But these curbs are very punishing, and track limits, Andy, are also going to be very much policed.
Yes, they certainly are. This is a track where you watch a lot of drivers online. They're kind of tempted to take the apron, particularly going around the banking areas, or there's a kind of runoff roundabout turns 3 and 4 leading into the final part of the infield section. Again, there's this temptation to just let the car run out wide there. So a virtual clerk of the course, Steve Burns, and the team, they're going to be keeping an eye on things throughout, just to make sure that the drivers are just staying the right side of the curbs throughout.
Let's have a look at our championship positions after round number 1 at Road Atlanta, which we did have 3 races in. Fraser Williamson was a bit of a star, and I've got to say, Andy, he came out of nowhere for me, but you had warned me after it that he is a force to be reckoned with. I did see on his social media Twitter feed today, he's not too confident about today, but we'll see how he gets on. But he's ahead of Michael Weddle and Stuart McFadden, and as you can see, we have got a lot of cars all the way down there. As Andy says, we have got 37 cars on track tonight. That's really just about what would normally start a NASCAR race. So action aplenty. You can see on screen just now behind our graphics, the sausage curbs, the blue hot dog sausage curbs. They are very punishing to car and driver. I saw a little bit of footage yesterday, Andy, and a few cars hitting those, and they were bouncing way up in the air off them, flying off them, you could almost say.
Yeah, it's one of these ones where, you know, you just hold on to that steering wheel as hard as you can and hope for the best, really. You know, you just throw that MX-5 car into the corners. You take as much of the curb as you dare get away with, because that's what you've got to do, maximise time around this lap. I mean, look at how close the barriers are as we ride on board with Fraser Williamson. You've got to just try and exploit every possible area to shorten a corner and get that extra maybe even half a second, because it can really make the difference.
This is qualifying, and one thing we can tell you, I was reading through the notes, that the track limits will not be policed in qualifying, but they will be policed in the actual races. So that's something that's quite interesting, actually. Jack Ayer, currently the fastest man from Jordan Gronkowski. We ride on board with 369 Fraser Williamson. And what else I should say, if we look at the numbers, Stuart McFadden last week, had the wrong number on. But Stuart has now, thankfully, he's driving number 1. And there's nothing better, Andy, than seeing the defending champ carrying the number 1 plate. He's had 1 race victory already. I'm pretty sure that's going to be another one throughout the course of the year. But the number 1 plate, great to see on his car.
Yeah, and it was a costly mistake as well for Stuart McFadden, because it was a 5-point penalty that he got as a result of that. And it's just one of those things, isn't it? I dare say it's easy done, but yes, it's great to see Stuart carrying the number 1 car. It's something I do like to see. You know, we have all the Formula 1 drivers using their custom numbers and things like that now. I'm a bit more of a traditionalist. I like to see the car number 1 and 2, 3, and 4 and so on. But yes, no, it'll be, Stuart's started the season strong, 2 second places and a win in the final round at Road Atlanta, and he'll be looking to build on that here tonight.
I agree 100%. Valentino Rossi started it off, or maybe even Jamie Whittam on motorbikes before that. I'm going back a long way now. In that little bit of chat myself and Andy were having there, Jack Ayer did go down to second place. Adam Brown went to top of the times, but it's all kind of shuffled around a little bit more. Jack Ayer top from Weddle, Brown, and we're looking at Jordan Gronkowski here, the Formula 4 racer, former Scottish Formula 4 champion, fast man in the real world racing, and adding sim racing to his very good resume. I've got to say, he's a guy who you've got to watch. If it goes well for him, it will. But sometimes, as we saw in the last Spring Cup, or the last Cup, sorry, Andy, he had a few things that just went the wrong way for him, and it kind of snowballed out of control.
Yeah, and again, it's very easy for that to happen when we've got so many cars out there on track. And that really, for me, just underlines the importance of getting a good lap time on the board in qualifying, because if you end up all the way down the pack, then race 1 is very difficult for you as it stands, but the whole event becomes difficult, because of course where you finish in race 1, that determines your starting position for race 2 and so on. And yeah, you've got to get a nice clean lap on the board to really give yourself a fighting chance in any of these events.
Cameron Evans here on screen. We just saw Mark Herron before him. This is Cameron Evans. You can see him hugging that line all the way around the apron there off the NASCAR Speedway. Then into chicane, clips one curb, clips the other curb, bounces out towards the wall, and thankfully just manages to keep the, I'm going to say, iron brew coloured car off the actual pit wall himself. But who are we on board? Who are we looking at now? Sam Corson, former series champion, original eSports champion Sam Corson, actually. Will we see Sam Corson manage to get onto the actual big circuit and have a shot of racing the real cars? I believe he was going to be in a Legend, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he was due to be in the Legends Championship. It was a very competitive program there, and Sam managed to secure a drive in the Legends, and hopefully we'll see him out on track this year, restrictions permitting, because he's a very, very quick driver in the virtual world, and I've got no doubts he'll go and replicate that in the real world.
Another very quick driver in the real world is on screen just now, Rory Bryant. And Adam Brown has just sneaked back into pole position ahead of Jack Ayre as we watch Rory Bryant bounce off one wall and then decides that he's had enough of that lap. But Adam Brown to the top, a 31.9. So the only man to go sub 1 minute 32. So 31.9 for Adam Brown. He will be happy with that one. Dale Smith's had a paint job and a half, hasn't he? That's very pink. Wow. Hello, Dale. Nice to meet you. As we see him coming through Roval, or coming off the Roval onto the oval. That's turn 8. We're going through turn 9 and through turn 10, which in real world racing for NASCAR would be turn 1 and turn 2. Look how close he is to that white line all the way down the back stretch. We can see that. The short shoot, because we're in America, Andy. I think we'll get away with that just fine. This chicane, it's very much modelled on what you would find at Daytona. Although, Andy, it's a lot tighter.
Yes, I did wonder that. It's one where you throw that car into the corner, and I think you can carry I feel you can carry a little bit more speed into it. But the difference between that one and the one in Daytona is the curbs, I think, are far more punishing here at the Charlotte Roval. So that's going to be one area of the track to keep an eye on, that's for sure.
Yeah, the Daytona back straight chicane, it really does entice you to go in a lot faster. This one's a lot more control, slow the car down and try and get through it and get back up onto the oval and away. And you can see that is the area there that track limits during the race will be policed by Steve Burns back home on the west of Scotland. He will be watching that. You can cut that area that he did there in qualifying. I held my breath as Fraser Williamson bounced his way off the chicane there. Didn't know where that was going to actually go. And he pops himself into P3, even with that bit of aero acrobatics, Andy. I think we could see that. Michael Weddle stopped on track as well. And this is qualifying. And remember, when they're qualifying, they only see themselves on track. So they don't actually see other cars on track when they're out there. But Adam Brown still leads the way with that 1:31.9. Only man to go sub 1 minute 32. He'll be happy with that one. From Jack Ayre, Fraser Williamson, Michael Weddle, Jordan Gronkowski, Mark Heron, Cameron Evans, Stuart McFadden, Sam Corson, and Rory Bryant of the SMRC rounds out the top 10. Then we have Dale Smith, Michael McPherson, Josh Hislop, John Higgins Jr. in 14th, having a good run so far, Cameron Ritchie, Russell Wheatley, Gaz Brown, Sean Warrington, Vic Covey, all the way down in 19th, just ahead of Nathan Lamon. So some big names a little bit further down there just now, Andy.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that. And I think this is an event where the slipstream is going to be absolutely crucial, because you need to be in the tow to make your way through the field. Those drivers in the middle of the pack in particular, I feel, will need to work together to close in on the cars in front. So it'll be an interesting tactical battle here. Will we see the field split into bunches, or will we just see cars dotted around the track?
Who knows? It's going to be quick. It's going to be good. The qualifying comes to an end. Thank you very much for that one, Andy. Let's see how this one unfolds. We are not far away from the race. Andy, what tips would you give anybody who's about to take part in their first Roval race?
You've got to get the first couple of corners under your belt. It's the old saying in motorsport. You can't win the race in the first corner, but you can certainly lose it. There's no point trying to throw that car up the inside here. We've seen how close the barriers are, and we've got chicanes as well, of course, to contend with as well. Just get the first lap or so under the belt, get the car nice and settled, and then build upon it from there.
Well, we gave you the grid earlier on. I run through the top 20, so you can see they're just forming up just now, but we do have Adam Brown on that pole position for Rethink Racing with Jack Ayre, his, I want to say, quasi-teammate alongside him, then Fraser Williamson and another Rethink racer of Michael Weddle. So the Rethink guys really taking over at the top. And look, the car's got all the way through the chicane and back towards turn 4 on NASCAR. I do like that one. So we're a couple of minutes away from getting going here. And where would you want to be in that? I don't really think you'd want to be starting in the middle of the chicane. You have to, if you have a hands device in real life, you wouldn't be able to turn your head to the left to see the lights going out. But we are set for SMRC eSports Racing, the Spring Cup, round 2, Charlotte on the Roval. And we just wait for the last couple of cars. We're missing one car from the second row of the grid, if I'm not mistaken, ahead of... Or are we? Is it just the way I'm looking at it? Yeah. We're missing Fraser Williamson just now. So hopefully he pops in just behind our pole man. But 30 seconds away. Scott Smith all the way back there in 26. I should mention that as well. Scott Smith all the way back down there. Dave Christie, former broadcaster himself, in P30. Just ahead of Adam Kindness. And David Bolton back there as well. So here we go, the lights coming on. We've got a full complement of lights, and I've got to say, boogity, 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 let's go racing, boys. We're at the Charlotte Roval, and it's all gone horribly wrong on the start line there. That's Jack Eyre. He hasn't moved. Eventually he gets going, and just about gets clipped by, I think that could have been one of the MSR cars. We'll come back to that in a minute, but Adam Brown away at the front from Fraser Williamson and Michael Weddle as they come in towards the first area of the Roval. And Andy, I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. Boogity, boogity, boogity had to come out. We're in NASCAR country and we're racing for the SMRC now, but Adam Brown leads the way as they go through the middle part of the first lap.
Yeah, I think we'll let you off with that one, Duncan. I think it feels appropriate here at the Charlotte Roval. It's a disaster for Jack Eyre, I have to say. I mean, and that's, again, feels like a sense of deja vu for him, because the first race at Road Atlanta, things gone wrong for him, but look at now, 26th place, and he's got it all to do.
One thing we know that Jack will come through and he will have a good bit of overtaking to be done here, but race victory in race one probably a little bit out of grabs just now as we look back towards Fraser Williamson from Adam Brown's bumper. Michael Weddle pops out, bobs and weaves a bit like a boxer there as they come in towards the back straight chicane. They go left, they go right, they go back out onto the actual oval. They won't be cutting across that coloured bit this time, or will they, Andy?
Well, there's a couple are willing to take the chance anyway. I thought Fraser Williamson looked a little bit faster through that bus stop chicane there, but look, he's got Michael Weddle in that blue Rethink Racing car, hot on his heels. So it'll be very interesting to see if Fraser just decides to take a little bit of a defensive line and just shut the door on Michael. Yeah, looks like he's managed to do that. Look at those MX-5 cars hopping over those curbs here, and Fraser's got a fantastic run out the final chicane there. He's got a little bit of that car on the outside there of Adam Brown, but he's managed to make it stick, and he stays in the lead of this race with one lap under our belt.
Yeah, he did have a good run through that chicane there, but Adam positioned his car well in the middle of the road, which means Fraser was going to have to go around the outside. Jack Eyre hits pit lane, we are told, in our ears in the background, so it's all going horribly wrong for Jack. Brown still leads from Williamson. He's under increasing pressure. Weddle as well is in the middle of this. Stuart McFadden now having a look at Jordan Gronkowski, the number one car. Isn't it good to see a number one on one of these MX-5s? Stuart McFadden, well, we know exactly what he can do, and he's getting himself towards the front. Cameron Evans involved in a good bit of running as well, just now ahead of Mark Hearn, Roddy Bryant, Hislop and Sam Corson runs out the top 10 as we go back onto the NASCAR Oval. Look, they'll get their wheels right down onto that line. After that, you're out of bounds, as they would say in NASCAR. You can't go below that blue and white line. Down the back straight in towards the chicane. Not as fast as the one we'd get at Daytona, but these front three now starting to stretch away. Contact further down. McFadden taps the back of Jordan Gronkowski just as they come in there. Upset Jordan on the way in, but McFadden will, I've got to say, Stuart McFadden, I think, breathed out the throttle to help Jordan there, but there was definite contact on the way in, and that upset Jordan. Be good to get a little replay of that. It happened on screen, but back at the front, Andy, that's really put a bit of a grenade in there. The top three now away, and there's a big gap back to Stuart McFadden, Evans and Gronkowski.
Yes, it was a peculiar incident, and good awareness by Jordan just to avoid those the big blue sausage curb just on the inside of that chicane there. He's managed to keep the car straight. Looks like there's a little bit of damage, however, because he's slowed down considerably down into 9th place. In fact, it's a slowdown penalty Jordan's got, actually. Must have been for cutting that chicane as a result, and he's had to slow down and give up the time again. So it's been a challenging start to the event for Jordan Gronkowski, and it's disappointing after showing some great promise in qualifying as well. So he's down 4 places from his starting position.
That's a harsh penalty for Jordan. He will not be happy about that one. He was collected on the way into the corner, and really he couldn't slow the car down after the car hit the back of him. We'll come back to that later on, because the battle at the front with the Brown, Williamson and Weddle is very much on as we go past the spectators at Charlotte, which is something we want to see back in 2021 at all circuits across the UK and the world. And look at this, right underneath the bumper of Adam Brown is Fraser Williamson as they go down the back straight. Adam soaking up the pressure right now of Fraser Williamson, the man who took the double at Road Atlanta, and then Stuart McFadden took a solitary single victory there. And they're flirting a little bit with that painted area. Now, we've got to look behind Michael Weddle, because can Stuart McFadden bridge the gap? That's the car there, the number one car. The gap ahead of him is just about 2 seconds. Let's keep our eye on that gap, Andy, and see if McFadden could drag himself away from Evans and get up to the top 3.
Yeah, he was going to have to put a couple of quick lap times on the board of Stuart McFadden. Last time out, it was a 1:34.2 as a result of that contact. that he made with Jordan Gronkowski around last time, but he's just gone and posted the fastest lap of the race there, a 1:32.4. So he's certainly making moves as it stands. He has to close that gap into Michael Weddle so that he can use that slipstream and then try and make a move.
Yeah, he is fastest lap of the race, but he basically the same time as Michael Weddle himself, and a 10th faster than Brown and Williamson. So we'll keep our eyes on that number 1 car, which is just ahead of Cameron Evans. But the NASCAR Roval at Charlotte, 17 turns. And interestingly, in the middle part here, it's not flat, it's up and down. So there's a good bit of elevation change. So the drivers have to work very hard. And as Andy Alston said at the beginning, absolutely no room for error through that infield section. If you do something wrong, you're into a concrete wall. There's no safer barrier around there. You can see the safer barrier runs round the NASCAR oval itself. Introduced quite a few years ago now, and one of the best things that we have seen on ovals. And look at this. Right behind Adam Brown now is Fraser Williamson, and he's just pressurising him. He hasn't actually yet, Andy, as I think, had a real possible look. He's just trying to see if Adam's going to crack under this, and those guys flirting with the wall and now deciding that they don't want to cut that painted area. And here comes Flymo, the nickname himself, Michael Weddle. There's not much grass for him to cut in this one, but he's starting to think about popping out from the slipstream and going round the long way as they come off NASCAR 4, Andy, in towards the chicane.
Yes, I'm just thinking that Adam Brown seems to be taking a little bit more of the blue sausage curbs than Fraser Williamson, particularly on the first chicane. That's given Fraser a better drive out the corners, and he's got a better drive this time round. He's got the inside line as well as he go into turn 1. And can he make it stick? They're side by side. Look at that. Michael Weddle trying to get involved as well. They're going to come into a right-hander just in a moment here. So that then gives Adam Brown the inside line. He covers it off. And look at Michael Weddle who's trying to follow him through. Michael Weddle was trying to follow him through. He's got the inside line onto Fraser Williamson. Now, can he make it stick? And Fraser Williamson, look at that. He takes that spare bit of run off there just to capitalise coming out that corner. And he lives to fight another day.
Well, Robbins Racing, they say in America, Michael Weddle definitely taking that to for extremes. That was a manoeuvre on Fraser Williamson there. I just hope that he hasn't put any damage on the car with that one as we look back towards Jordan Gronkowski, who's up behind Josh Hislop now. Josh Hislop, the mini racer, and he's done all sorts of racing actually. Quick young man, and making his mark now in the sim racing as well. But what we've got to say is Jordan, after that little time penalty, Jordan's starting to claw things back and making momentum swing in his way now, Andy.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's got the slipstream here as he goes into chicane. I think he's just a little bit, maybe a lap or so. He might be there. He just looks a little bit too far off, trying to make a move on Josh Hislop in the car in front. But yeah, I mean, credit to Jordan. He's dusted himself down. He's getting on with it. It'll be interesting to see how the rest of this race goes for him.
Let me look a little bit deeper in the pack just now. Where's John Higgins Jr.? Just outside the top 10 in 11th. There he is there in his MSR car. His teammate Aidan Wilson, 14th. Aidan had a good run at Road Atlanta. He's just ahead of Ryan Smith. Dave Christie in 18th place. I think Dave will take that one as a victory and disappear to the fridge after this race. That's a pretty good one for him. He'll be needing a hot drink because he's in the middle of hot company with Tom Jones and Michael McPherson. And I guarantee, as you said, Andy, you'll be gripping the steering wheel around here because you'll be fighting for every little inch of the track. And look at that as they go in towards the midsection on the Roval. That's Josh Hislop. And Josh Hislop slides past Rory Bryant, who's now got Gronkowski, Heron, and behind Heron we've got Sam Corson. So things really are starting to heat up here. We promised you action. That's one thing we did promise you from the Roval. People said there was going to be carnage, Andy, and I've got to say, everybody behaving so well just now. There hasn't been, touchwood, any carnage.
Well, we've got another couple of races to go as well, Duncan, so there's plenty of time for that. I think the drivers are just getting warmed up here. But no, it's been... I feel you have no other choice, because if you just send it on lap 1 at this track, you will be punished. You have to be composed around here, and particularly around that infield section. I feel it's an area where, yes, you can get a pass done, but I think one corner leads into another in that part of the track, and it's just better to stick behind the car in front and then try and get the move done on the bank and around to one of the chicanes.
As we pick up with Jordan Gronkowski, he's right underneath Rory Bryant as they come round NASCAR 3 and 4 towards the end of the lap. This is lap 6 and 9 minutes of the race gone. 50 minutes. Is that Fraser Williamson? Is that Fraser? No, it's not. Calm down, Duncan. It's Cameron Ritchie. Getting a little bit excited there. The car, you can see where that was going, Andy. The car was very, very similar, but back to the front. Weddle has just posted a 32.1. Michael Weddle has just pulled that one out the bag. That's a fast lap compared to the people around him, but still Still, car number 8, Adam Brown, at the front, that grey car with the Valentino Rossi-esque roll cage and wheels at the front, holding off the pressure that Fraser Williamson is throwing at him in handfuls. And all this battling at the front is helping Weddle drop back, then catch up. What that isn't happening is Stuart McFadden isn't catching as I thought he would, Andy.
Yeah, and again, it just underlines the importance of the slipstream here, because look, Stuart McFadden has got no one either side of him, so all he can do is try and put those consistent lap times on the board and hope that the 3 in front start to battle, and that'll allow him to eventually close the gap, but it's not quite happened for him yet. He's trailing them by a couple of seconds, so 5 minutes left to go in this race, so it could all change, of course.
Jack Eyre back in the race, and we need to find out, we'll find out hopefully after the race, what happened to Jack at the beginning. But 26th position. Other people in trouble: Cameron Ritchie, Gaz Brown, Sean Warrington and Scott Malcolm, a few laps behind, we could see just now at the bottom of our timing pile on there. But look at this, Adam Brown again soaks up the pressure onto the last chicane, and there's been so many NASCAR races that have come to some sort of finish at that chicane, and let's see what happens in this one. I've seen a couple of NASCAR races where the front 2 or the front 3 have all been together, Andy. 2 of them have gone in there, had a spin, and the guy in third's won the race. Let's hope that doesn't happen today as we stay on board with Fraser Williamson, and we jump back now to Sam Corson, who goes up the inside of Rory Bryant. Bryant sends it round the outside. There's something I've never said before and probably never will. Bryant sends it right round the outside of Sam Corson, and he's now making moves up to the back of Jordan Gronkowski. So pure Stuart McFadden will buy a tow if anybody wants to drop a tow for him, because he really needs it right now. He's in the middle of no man's land, and he's got nothing going for him. With these 3 at the front, Andy, this is the battle for the podium. But how's it going to end up? How is it going to come out, Andy Alston? Is it going to be Fraser Williamson? Is he just playing a waiting game here, sandbagging, trying to see where Adam Brown's better? Or do you think this is Fraser's pace?
Well, it's an interesting dilemma, isn't it? Because if you're Fraser Williamson and you make a move now, you're sacrificing the slipstream to Adam Brown, and Adam could just say, I'll sit behind to the last minute of this race and then make the move. So it looks like Fraser's just being patient here, but the problem he has is he's got Michael Weddle close behind as well, and Michael is really putting in the fast laps. So if Fraser wants to go and win this first race here tonight, it looks like he's going to perhaps get the move done now.
Yeah, well, he was trying to go high, wide and handsome round turn 1 and 2 there, but not to be. That's 3 and 4, isn't it? Yeah, that was 3 and 4 as they come in towards the final chicane. This chicane looks quicker than the other one. They go into it, they throw the car with a huge amount of gusto and just kind of hope they don't bounce off the outside wall, their outside retaining wall. And they are a lot quicker than Michael Weddle through there. Michael catches up through the course of the lap, and in that last chicane, and he'll be seeing that he's not as quick through there. But hang on, hold on to your hats. What's going on here? Ryan Smith comes in towards the chicane. That looks like John Higgins Jr. is up the inside of Aidan Wilson in the middle of this as well. So that could be anything about to happen. Junior in car number 5 there, up the inside. Does he repay the favour? No, he can't. Tries to, but unable to do that. Those 2 red, white and blue cars, I quite like those colour schemes, Andy.
Yes, we've got a number of teams, of course, within this championship, and the drivers are kind of getting their liveries all matching. You see John Higgins there, he's got the red alloy wheels, whereas his teammate has opted for the kind of blue ones just to kind of differentiate them. But yeah, there's been some really nice ones throughout the pack, and it's good to see the drivers take an interest in this, particularly those who have sponsors, of course, in some of our real championships. And as we've just got a back marker there, moving out the way, we've got Ryan Smith just
change of lead there. Sorry, Andy. Yep.
Change of lead. Fraser Williamson has made the move into the chicane. That means that he is into the lead of the race. But look, Michael Weddle now second. He's got ahead of Adam Brown as well. And with a couple of minutes left into this race, it is all kicking off now.
Yeah, it'd be good to try and catch a replay of that one if we can, because it looked like Fraser did that going in towards the chicane. I would imagine it was clean, but what it did do, it upset Adam Brown's momentum enough to let Flymo get past. Let's see a replay of this. He was side by side off of turn 2 in towards the chicane, so the move was already done as they got to that chicane. Good bit of driving from Fraser Williamson, slows the car down, and then Adam took the curb, launched it off the apex curb, that lifted the car off the ground, and that's what let Michael Weddle then stick his little MX-5 nose underneath and get past. Now let's see what the pace of Fraser Williamson is in car 369. He's got half a second in his pocket already over Michael Weddle. Can he pull away from Weddle? As Adam Brown going to try and get back past? Let's see what happens here. Look at this behind. Stuart McFadden is under pressure now from Cameron Evans, and who is that trying to go underneath him is Josh Hislop. So I did warn everybody that Josh Hislop is very fast in real-world racing, but he's also showing us that he's extremely handy, that rhymes, when it comes to this.
Yeah, and he's up 7 places as well from the start position as Josh Hislop, so he's had a very, very good opener here. As we've got a spinner, it's Jonathan Glover, car 24, or position 24 I should say. He's got it all wrong at the final chicane, and he's went tumbling down the timesheets as we follow Josh Hislop once again, still in 6th place.
This will be the last lap.
And indeed, in fact, look at this, he's got to make the move now. Yes, it will be the last lap. We're over 15 minutes, and here come the leaders.
So we're coming through NASCAR turn 3 just now. Weddle is in the prime spot for something to happen. He's trying to go underneath now, and he's getting a push from Adam Brown. They go through turn 4. Weddle hits the front, but he's on the wrong side. Fraser Williamson should release the brake and take this one inside. Weddle tries to go round the outside. Keen. Weddle goes round the outside. Weddle's going to take the victory, and Adam Brown takes 2nd place. And in 3rd place, it's Fraser Williamson. What a fabulous grandstand finish there. That was something a little bit special. And Michael Weddle, you need to buy Adam Brown a Diet Coke for that one. That little slipstream, that extra bit of air pushing the back of his bumper through turn 3 and turn 4, pushed him past Fraser Williamson. Stuart McFadden does get 4th. 5th place for Cameron Evans. 6th for Josh Hislop. Jordan Gronkowski gets 7th. Rory Bryant in 8th. Sam Corson in 9th, and Mark Hearn rounds out the top 10. David Christie on screen comes through. He will be delighted with that 18th place. He didn't have a good road at Atlanta. It was his first baptism of fire. He's loving the cabs going through the chicane there in the Camber racing car. Dave comes home in a very deserving 18th place. But that one, Andy Alston, was all about Michael Weddle, and Adam Brown at the last couple of corners.
Yeah, a great bit of opportunistic driving by Michael Weddle. He just biding his time throughout that race. He saw the opportunity to make a move, and he did just that. So credit to him, a fantastic bit of driving, and that is his first win of this championship.
As we take a minute to gather ourselves, I think we need to, don't you, Andy? That was something special, that. Let's have a look at the grid for race 2. Weddle from Brown, Williamson, McFadden, effectively your finishing order. Evans, Hislop, Gronkowski, Bryant, Sam Corson, Mark Heron, Nathan Lamond, and Ryan Smith in 12th place.
Then we've got John Higgins, followed by Aidan Wilson, Tom Jones, Russell Wheatley, Michael McPherson in 17th, Dave Christie in 18th, Steve Walsh, Sean Doby, David Bolton, Dave Noonan, Jackie Chalmers, and Jonathan Glover is in 24th.
As a few other cars get gridded up, Jack Ayre back in 25th from Cameron Ritchie, Graham Crane, Sean Warrington, Gaz Brown, Scott Malcolm, Dale Smith in that lovely pink car ahead of John Duncan, Robert McGregor, Vic Covey 34th, Scott Smith and Adam Kindness. And we are in the last couple of seconds away from going green here. The rest of the grid there, John Proctor, the last name which we are to get. I won't boogity this time, Andy, I promise, as we get the lights about to come on. This packed grid. 3 lights, 4, 5, go at Charlotte for the Roval race number 2, and it's a decent start from Adam Brown. It's a sluggish start from Michael Weddle as they go down towards turn 1, and again the front 3 are up there, but McFadden will be trying everything not to lose that slipstream there. I do like this one, the blimp view, as Michael McPherson is in trouble on the line as well in race number 2. It was Jack Ayre in race 1, it's Michael McPherson in race number 2. In towards the infield, that's turn 3 and turn 4 they go through. Then, Andy, they have a short shoot. They go along in towards turn 5, and Mark Hearn pops out there. Now, did Mark Hearn pop out from the slipstream, or was that him saving a moment in the lovely kind of bronze car? Looks a bit weird, that one, Andy.
Yeah, it was a curious one to say the least, but we've got a car off there as well. And it's been sort of kicking off here in the first lap here. It looks like it's a retirement as well, but look, we've got Adam Brown, who has done the jump on Michael Weddle at the start. He's got a nice clean getaway, and I think that's the important thing in these MX-5. We saw a lot of the cars towards the midfield in the back of the pack lighting up the rear wheels in these cars, and that was really compromising their getaway from the line. But Adam Brown, he's managed to get a nice clean start and into the race.
Gronkowski into the back of it wasn't Rory Bryant, into the back of car 23, and that was Joshua Hislop there. So Jordan Gronkowski kind of doing what happened to him in race number 1, but all this battling behind Cameron Evans, well, it's let the first 4 get away, and that is the big 4, the powerhouse, you could imagine, of the SMRC eSports. Is Brown, Weddle, Williamson and McFadden as we go on board with the number 1 plate car. Stuart McFadden bounces his way through the chicane, and he'll just be delighted to be back up with somebody who he can get a tow around the oval on just now as they go through off the oval into the Roval part of it. and you've got to be absolutely pinpoint through here. As Andy Alston said in our pre-show, if you make a mistake here, you're into something fairly hard. And as I pointed out, it's not a flat infield section that we get on many ovals. It's very up and down, it's undulating, and you can see they are allowed to use the extra bit of tarmac as they come along from 4 to 5. Bit of defending from Hislop and Gronkowski back there. That could end in a pile of fiberglass and panels, and so close for Jordan. And look at that! Rory Bryant sends it. And that's twice I've said that in the one broadcast, Andy. I think I need to sit down now.
I know. Good bit of, again, instinctive driving from Rory Bryant, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to hold on to the position because Gronkowski's got to drive as they head back into the banking. So, no, but credit to Rory there. He's thrown up the inside and he did temporarily manage to make it stick, but it's John Gronkowski leading in 7th place at the moment.
As we have a little look just now and see Jordan Gronkowski coming, and this was where he got, I can't believe he got a time penalty in race number 1 for what happened to him there. He was nudged on the braking zone on the way in. Oh, there's Jack Eyre. Let's concentrate on what's actually happening here. Jack Eyre in 14th place. He's come up 11 places now, Jack Eyre. That's pretty sensational. He's just ahead of young Aidan Wilson, who looks like he's sporting a bit of damage. And I'll tell you what's interesting at the front, Stuart McFadden doesn't have the pace. He doesn't have the pace, Andy, and I'm very surprised to be saying that.
Yes, Stuart McFadden, last time out it was a 132.8, so pace is, it just seems to be a little bit off, but again, is he perhaps biding his time and he's letting that front 3 scrap and then he'll come and pick up the pieces?
Well, let's see exactly what happens here as we have a little look at this 4 car. McFadden looks like he's pretty quick in the infield section, but he's just lacking a little bit somewhere around this lap, and that will be eating away at the number 1 man. The Pure Sim back car, and we've got a shunt in the mid pack here, and there's been cars 74, 41, there's all sorts of, and that's at turn 1, Andy, and that's exactly what you spoke about in the pre-show. If you make a mistake there, it's pinballing off the walls, and if there's cars around you, they're going to crash into you as well. Here's a replay of that accident going into turn 1. We're looking at Cameron Ritchie. Oh, but it's Del Smith who goes drifting, and then Cameron Ritchie spins round, and then everybody else wants to get involved in that as well. So good to see people not wanting people to crash on their own there, as we pick up with the Goodyear blimp, you could say, as we're down towards the chicane. On the entrance towards turn 3, it's Adam Brown, car number 8 from Weddell, from Williamson, and McFadden away at the front. Then what's the gap back to 4th or 5th place, Andy? That's just around about a second and a half, I'm right in saying that?
Yes, it is tight, and again, Stuart McFadden's dropped off a little bit this lap, so he's got to really get a move on if he wants to stay in that slipstream as well, yes, Adam Brown still leading away. A little bit of a gap there, 0.3 of a second between him and Michael Weddell, which is interesting as well. And he's just gone and posted the fastest lap of the race. And I'm like, I beg your pardon, Stuart McFadden's just gone and beat that with a 132.2. So the guys at the front are really beginning to make a move now with 5 minutes gone in this race.
Yeah, Jordan Gronkowski with a 132.2 as well, as we see David Bolton going pretty slow. Last time we saw David Bolton, he was upside down at the last corner at Road Atlanta after being assaulted, as he put it. I'm pretty sure the chat room was a bit salty after that, and I sound like my son now. So, Jordan Gronkowski, 8th place just now, and he needs to make a bit of a move here. Rory Bryant has come through the field pretty well here, and my eyebrows have gone up. You can probably hear that in my voice. I'm surprised with how good Rory Bryant is doing on the Roval. I didn't think he'd had much to be a practice. Look how close they need to get towards that tyre stack on the inside before they go back up onto NASCAR 3, Andy. That's pretty close. That's pretty gutsy stuff, that.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking centimetres as well, Duncan. That's the thing. You've really got to get as close as you can to that barrier to carry as much speed as you can down this straight here and into the chicane. Jordan Gronkowski just a little bit too far back from Rory Bryant this time around, but again, he's got a better entrance into the chicane there, so he might well capitalise on it here this time round.
Yeah, he was very quick in towards the initial part of the chicane there. It looked like he almost got into the back of Rory Bryant, but Rory has a good run through that chicane. As they come through, Fraser Williamson has sneaked ahead of Michael Weddell. He's in P2 here, and look at this. McFadden's done something. Oh, into the wall for Michael Weddell. Michael Weddell bangs the wall on the exit off turn 17. Now, that's not going to give him a penalty, but it could pick up a bit of damage. Andy, could that knock the toe out? Could that harm how the car handles?
Well, it looks like the bodywork's taking a bit of a dent certainly anyway, so it'll be interesting to see what time he posts this time round on lap number 5. But look at that, we're going to have Stuart McFadden hot on his heels now, and he will, of course, will be well aware that Michael will be Michael will be hurting and just want to make sure that MX-5 is still as good as it can be. So I think Stuart's going to maybe try and make a move this time round.
Andy, you keep an eye on Michael Weddle's lap time this next time round, and we'll see if that bounce off the wall at the exit of turn 17 is going to affect how that car handles. Rory Bryant under increasing pressure from Jordan Gronkowski, who is under pressure from Mark Herron. So this is 7th, 8th and 9th as they come through NASCAR 3 onto NASCAR 4 before they come back into that brilliant chicane. 15, 16 and 17 are the names of the corners. I'm a little bit ahead of myself, actually. We're going down the back straight into turn 11 and 12, but it sounded good in my head. Gronkowski slides up the inside of Rory Bryant, mirror signal manoeuvre over the curb, though, big hunk of curb, and he's cost himself on the exit. Mark Herron now has made hay here. Rory Bryant was a little bit, I'm going to say a little bit nice to Jordan there. He'd be backing out mid-chicane, but Mark Herron kept his foot well and truly in it, and he's going to come past definitely Rory Bryant. But Jordan Gronkowski covers that one off as they come through in towards 15, 16, 17. Now, Andy, will Rory Bryant go up the inside? Yes, he will. Good move, Rory Bryant. And just behind those guys, it's Tom Jones and Nathan Lamond starting to make their way in.
And just following Michael Weddle's last lap there, it was a 132.2. So that MX-5 doesn't look to be showing any signs of damage whatsoever, because that's a very fast time he's put on the board.
Look at the fastest lap there, Andy. Jack Ayre down in 12th place, 132.2 for Jack Ayre. So he's made up a lot of positions. He's definitely got the speed around this track, but he's still ruing from that issue in race number 1 where the car just didn't go at the start line. Now, Andy, you're a sim guy. Tell me, do they have to do something at the start apart from just accelerate? Do they have to pre-engage the gear? Is that a driver error or is that a car issue?
It can totally depend on your personal preference and how you've set up your rig, but it seems to me that it's been some kind of hardware error. I cannot see why he would possibly have any other issue. It just looks like something's perhaps not engaged. He's had to, do the old take the plug out and put it back in. But we've got a car stop there. Yep.
And Mark Herron, Mark Herron
gone wrong.
And he was in that battle with Rory Bryant and Jordan Gronkowski. And was that Jack Ayre? We just saw, flying through the shot there is Jack Ayre, and that is Mark Herron. Now he just pulls over to the inside and stops. There's no smoke coming out of that, Andy. So whether who knows what's happened there. Here comes Jack Ayre as he slithers around, and Jack Ayre doing a cracking job. Considering he started so far down, Andy, he's managed to get himself up. But we're going back to the front just now. We've got Adam Brown ahead of Fraser Williamson and the lovable bouncing off the wall Michael Weddle. And Weddle, well, he's still hanging in that third place, but Stuart McFadden is just starting to fall off the back of them, and that's the worrying bit as we are 9 minutes 40 seconds into this race. 7 laps off the race gone. This is a fabulous SMRC eSports race with sim broadcast live streaming partners for your sim racing event. We are in the midst of a Charlotte Roval. Well, it's a great evening, Andy, isn't it? And this racing, we saw what happened in race number 1 at the last chicane. Can it happen again here, or does Adam Brown, well, he's obviously out for the race victory, but can he get redemption? There's a good word.
I have to say I've been very, very impressed with the defensive driving from Adam Brown. He's just putting that MX-5 in the right place at the right time, and Fraser Williamson's got nowhere to go. But look at this, the gap is under 1/10 of a second between both of them. Fraser Williamson darts into the inside to try and take the lead of this race going into the chicane. Can he make it stick though? Oh, and it's very close to contact, and Adam Brown has just managed to avoid it. Again, he gives himself the inside line, but look at the car in third, the blue car of Michael Weddle. He's now getting involved as well, and Stuart McFadden also is getting into the mix. So it's all kicking off here with a few minutes left in this race.
I was waiting to see here comes Weddle, but it was more like here comes McFadden. He's closed up the most, side by side through 15 into 16 and 17. Williamson tries to go up the inside. Nope, Adam Brown forces his way through there, but look at that. There goes Michael Weddle and Stuart McFadden. They're both going to take 2 positions here because Williamson and Brown cost themselves dearly going through that last chicane. Adam Brown, I've got to say, I think he was using a little bit too much track there as Williamson goes underneath McFadden going through this first part of the Roval. Deary me, this is very much SMRC eSports racing at its best. Williamson again tries to go up into the Stuart McFadden. Extremely close, Andy, but I've got to say, it didn't look like there's any contact there.
No, and it just shows how quickly things can change, because Fraser Williams gone from 2nd to 4th in the space of a couple of corners, and Michael Weddle's gone into the lead of this race. So it's all kicking off here. I tell you what, the stage is set for a cracking couple of minutes left in this one.
Jack Ayre up to 8th place has made Rory Bryant go down a position and Nathan Lamond. And if Jack Eyre will be in pole position, can you believe that for the next race? If he stays here, Andy, Jack Eyre will get himself onto pole position. But what we need to look at as well is Michael Weddle could be on for a cheeky little double here, although he's only 0.08 of a second ahead of Adam Brown as it speaks. And of course, who is that? It's not Fraser, it's Stuart McFadden. Stuart McFadden goes off into the chicane. Now, was he pushed or did he jump? Let's get a replay as they come down through NASCAR 2. Fraser Williamson behind them as they come in towards the braking zone. What happened here? The car's at the brakes, and McFadden, well, difficult to see from that angle actually, but there looks like there's a little dent in the back of that. Yeah, there's damage in the back of that. Yeah, the voice from above telling me there's a bit of damage in the back of that car. So McFadden all the way down to, he's only gone down to 7th place, Andy. But that would put him P2 on the grid. No, it wouldn't actually. That would put him 7th place for the grid because Jack Eyre will be on pole. Or would it put him P2? Yes, it would be P2, but he would rather have the points than a P2 start in the final. But what that has done is put a bit of a bomb at the beginning, or at the front, I should say. Michael Weddle and Adam Brown now on their own from Fraser Williamson and Josh Hislop. Jack Eyre is catching Stuart McFadden. Look at this. Jack Eyre has really put something pretty special together in that number 13 car, Andy.
He has. He's up 17 places. And look, we know Jack's a quick driver, but it's the first race has kind of let him down here again. Unfortunately, things just haven't gone his way. And he's got it all to do. But it's been a very, very impressive race for the Rethink Racing driver, I have to say. He's been very, very composed throughout. He's just picked his moments, and he could go up one place further here. But again, this is an interesting dilemma. Does he decide to just set off Stuart McFadden though? Because as it stands, he's in pole position for the finale. So let's see how he goes. It looks like he's going to try and make a move though. I think that's his instincts, and here he goes, trying to, well, he's going to try and make that stick on the outside. Surely not. Stuart McFadden's got that covered, and that is then allowing a bit of the cars behind to close in as well. So yes, Jack Eyre still in 8th place in the race as things stand.
Yeah, behind them on the road just now is Mark Heron, but he isn't actually in that position. If I should say that, the kind of coppery car there, if I'm not mistaken, Rory Bryant is the next car on our lap monitor, but we could come back to Mark Heron. We did see him having that problem earlier on. He's 2 laps adrift just now as he go back towards the front. Is Michael Weddle putting a little bit of a gap into Adam Brown? Is Adam Brown starting to look in his rearview mirror too much at Fraser Williamson? I think maybe. 0.2 of a second is the gap at the front, and this 14.25 will be the last lap of race number 2. Weddle is on for a double, but look at that. They've got a back marker ahead of them. It looks like one of the mad MSR cars, you should say. Is that Robert McGregor? Will he stay out the way? Difficult to tell from here. Didn't get a good look, but the leader's very much incoming now. Yep, and out the way he does. 117 is Robert McGregor, and that has helped Michael Weddle. Look at the gap he's got now, and the battle is very much on for second place. Adam Brown under pressure from Fraser Williamson.
Yeah, Michael Weddle said thanks very much. Doubled his lead there at a crucial time in this race as well with the finale. But look at this, Fraser Williamson is going to try and make a move on Adam Brown as they come into the chicane for the last time. Adam's managed to cover that gap beautifully, I have to say. And he's now crucially got the inside line now into the next few corners. And it looks like Michael Weddle now with a gap of over half a second. So this is going to be the battle for second place.
This is what Adam Brown needs. He needs that little push, that bump draft round the oval. Remember what happened the last time? Weddle got pushed past, or Adam Brown got pushed past, but it's not to be. Into the last corner. Weddle, curb, out towards the wall. He's going to take a victory. Michael Weddle wins from Adam Brown. Third place, Fraser Williamson. Then we're going to get Gronkowski, Hislop and Evans across the line as one. Jack Eyre in 7th place ahead of Stuart McFadden, defending champion. Stops instantly. He will not be happy with that one. He's pole position for race number 3. But he will not be happy with what happened down at that chicane. The rest of the runners all coming through. We'll get Rory Bryant in 9th, Nathan Lamb in 10th, Tom Jones in 11th, with Russell Wheatley and Aidy Milson down in 12th and 13th place. A fabulous race, Andy Alston. It gave us nothing but action all the way through, and Michael Weddle makes it 2 out of 2 so far.
Yeah, Michael Weddle's been absolutely fantastic, I have to say. Very, very impressive drive from him. But also, I have to give a shout out to Jack Eyre there. Started this race in 25th place and he's gone and finished in 7th. That is a stunning drive. And let's see if he can finish this event on a high now as he will line up second on the grid.
Fabulous scenes from Charlotte here at the NASCAR Roval. Michael Weddle makes it 2 out of 2. Adam Brown and Fraser Williamson again battling out for the lesser steps on the podium. But cracking stuff there. A bit of an accident in the race halfway through it, but let's have a look at the actual finishing positions now. We gave you them just a minute ago, but Weddle, Brown, Williamson will be the top three on the podium, with Gronkowski, Hislop, Evans. Driver of the day so far has to be car number 13, Jack Eyre. That was some amount of positions. Stuart McFadden will be ruining that one and thinking what could have been. He does start the last race from pole position. Rory Bryant had a cracker, as did Nathan Lamond and Tom Jones. The rest of the guys will all be away, maybe having a quick drink of water, but getting ready for the race that is about to come up next, Andy Alston, which will be the final race of the evening for us. And well, if the first two are anything to go by, the next one's going to be a cracker as well, especially, Andy, with the reverse grid.
No, absolutely. The top three, they're split by under a second as well. I mean, this has been phenomenal stuff throughout. And that reverse grid is just going to add an extra dimension into the finale here tonight. So it's going to be a really, really interesting battle throughout. And, battles throughout the grid as well. There's been some great racing throughout. And, I think we're all set for another thriller here tonight.
And we have got on the pole, remember? We've got the reigning defending champion Stuart McFadden on pole. So, well, we've seen Stuart McFadden disappear, and he had the pace here to run with the leaders. So you have to think he must be one of the favourites for this next race that we have coming up. But we do hope you're enjoying this tonight. This is round 2 from the Charlotte Roval, the SMRC eSports Racing Spring Cup in the Global Mazda MX-5s. This is on SMRC Facebook, YouTube and Sim Broadcasts. Live partner for your sim racing event. They're doing the Twitch as well. So it's basically, if you've got a device and you've got one of those apps open, you could be watching this live with myself, Duncan, Vincent and Andy Alston in our virtual sim broadcast commentary box. It's nice and cosy tonight, Andy. That's one thing I will say. Are you okay?
I'm more on the edge of my seat here. This has been so much drama. No, it's been the Charlotte Roval was an interesting one, I think, when it was announced in the calendar here for the Spring Cup, because it's a track that's never been used before in any of these championships. So I was very interested to see just how things would shape up. But no, it's been good. I think a lot of the drivers have been speaking in the build up into this one as well about there's been an acknowledgement about just taking it easy in the first lap. Lots of the drivers chatting on Discord about it and going, look, I think we've just got to keep out of each other's way and just let the race kind of unfold from then on. So no, it's been really, really entertaining stuff throughout. The drivers have got a couple of minutes just before the finale just to shake off the cobwebs and put another couple of laps on the board. And it'll be interesting to see how things go.
Absolutely, I can guarantee some water will be getting taken place or taken in. They can't now, Andy. Can they or can't they do anything to setups, or is it a locked, fixed setup that the guys have to deal with?
It's a locked, fixed setup, so that means that it's pure performance from the drivers. They've just all got to extract the maximum from these cars, which is going to be very, very good and I think you see a lot of championships where you can tweak the setups, and there's pros and cons to going down both roads. But for me, I like to see a fixed setup. I like to see the drivers just all out there. It's absolutely equal, and it's all about trying to maximise performance.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're with us this Wednesday, the next event for us will be from another oval in America. In 2 weeks' time, it will be, we've been at Charlotte. Where else could we go for NASCAR territory? We're going to Daytona for the road course at Daytona. Andy, is that a track that you have much experience with yourself?
Yes, I enjoy the Daytona circuit. It's a very, very interesting one. It's one that I think a lot of the drivers will have had plenty of seat time on as well. It's one that tends to crop up a lot in championships, tends to crop up a lot in iRacing as well. And I think that will be a very, very good event for us, and it will hopefully produce some good racing as well. Yeah,
I'm a bit of a dab hand around there on Project Cars 2. I may have swore there. I'm very sorry, but yeah, I'm actually not too shabby around Daytona Road Course. It's I always love watching the Rolex 24 as well, and anything else that comes from there. The bikes around the Road Course Daytona. It will be another cracking event for us. That's 2 weeks' time though. Remember, we're having a week off. Myself and Andy Alston get a little bit of a holiday in between this. We're about to get the grid up for the last race of the day. I have to say my money has got to be on Shooty McFadden taking a victory in this one. He's starting from pole position, Andy. He's got a head of steam up. He'll be a little bit angry with what happened in that last race. The faster guys aren't starting too far behind, but McFadden, if he gets a good clean start, he could clear off in this one.
He could, and of course Stuart McFadden won the last race at the previous event at Road Atlanta as well, so he'll be keen to repeat that feat here at the Charlotte Roval. We know he's got the pace, but the pleasing thing for me as well is Stuart's had a moment, but he's managed to recover from that. He's not let that affect him, and I think that is so easy to do when you're racing in the sim world. You can just let that incident just fester away, and it compromises the rest of your event. But credit to Stuart, he's got his head down and managed to get on with things. And it'll be, if he can get a clean start, then he could go on and take all 35 points.
Pole position for Stuart McFadden from Jack Eyre, Cameron Evans and Josh Hislop, with Gronkowski, Williamson, Brown and Weddle, the big guns up there as well. Rory Bryant, Nathan Lamond, Tom Jones and Russell Wheatley down in 12th place.
It's Aidan Wilson, Sam Corson, Michael McPherson, Sean Warrington, Steve Walsh, Gaz Brown, David Bolton, John Higgins in 20th, Adam Kindness, Dave Noonan, Vic Covey and Graham Crane in 24th.
Dave Christie's 25th with Sean Dobie alongside him. Mark Heron, who had something go wrong in that last race, with John Duncan, John Proctor, Robert McGregor in 30th, Ryan Smith, Del Smith, Jackie Chalmers and the rest, as we all have a full complement of lights, and away we go. And I forgot Jack Eyre was up there as well. Jack Eyre makes a cracking start from P2, and Stuart McFadden has gone backwards in the pack, and that is a disaster for him. And well, that's the commentator's curse. I'm very sorry, Stuart, I tipped you for the victory. I forgot Jack Eyre was alongside you, and everybody shuffling him down. He's down to 7th place from that pole position, so he's got it all to do. He's got Adam Brown ahead of him, he's got Michael Weddle behind him. It's like he's not stopped racing. It's like the last race all over again. But Jack Eyre at the front, making hay while the sun shines here in Charlotte, pulling away from Cameron Evans and Josh Hislop. Josh Hislop, who we saw in the last race with a fabulous start, has really put this one to good practice here in 3rd place just now. Bit of shuffling further down the pack. I do see McFadden, Brown, and they've changed places again. So McFadden and Brown, they're changing backwards and forwards all the way through this lap here. And it looks like Michael Weddle has picked his drafting partner and he's behind McFadden. So Adam Brown loses a couple of positions on this opening lap. And then it's Rory Bryant and Nathan Lamond in 10th.
Yeah, real statement of intent from Jack Eyre. He's got almost a gap of half a second over the chasing pack. It was a stunning start, I have to say. He really timed that off the lights beautifully. And it looks like everyone else has managed to get through cleanly so far. As soon as I say that, there's been a crash at the chicane. It looks like, I think Stuart McFadden was involved in that. Cameron Evans is involved. And it's all kicking off now. They're all into the barriers. There's a number of cars being impacted. Michael McPherson tumbling down the order. Russell Wheatley, Graham Crane. It's all kicking off here. Lots of cars suffering serious damage and will no doubt be into the pits and out of this race.
That looked like something happened going in through the chicane, and it was just a chain reaction of cars going into cars. There's Jack Eyre at the front away on his own from Gronkowski, Weddle and Hislop. But that was McFadden, I think, got through that, but one person that didn't was Adam Brown. He was hit at the front and then hit from the back as well. Fraser Williamson has got through. So unfortunately, from those big guns at the front, it's Adam Brown who's gone out of that one. I don't know if the guys back at base could pick up some sort of, even a blimp replay would be the best for that one, because it was all happening so quickly there. And as Andy Alston said, cars to the left of me, cars to the right, they're going off everywhere. And yeah, a lot of damage for that one. We will see. That was the mid-pack. Let's see what we can see. A perfect view for this as they come down the back straight into the chicane. The leaders coming through. Cameron Evans loses it all on his own, and there into him goes everybody else. The cars are, it's a road jam, roadblock. Nobody can get through. Round goes Adam Brown, then bang, he gets hit again. And then after that, well, anybody else that comes through was basically blinded by that. So Jack Eyre at the front, cracking replay from the guys here. Thanks very much for that, I should say. Jack Eyre at the front from Jordan Gronkowski, but Jack Eyre has cleared off. Jordan will be happy with the position he's in just now, but unlucky. That cost so much damage for so many people, Andy, and that was Cameron Evans just losing it mid-chicane.
Yeah, and again, it's easy done. The drivers, they have to throw the cars into these curbs. They have to attack them to really maximise pace, and it's very easy done. The cars, these MX-5s, they do get very, very light when there's any kind of, and again, look at that. They're hopping over those curbs. There are 2 wheels on the track. And yeah, it's very easy done, and it's had massive ramifications. But look at that. Jordan Gronkowski has just posted the fastest lap of the race at 1:32.5. He's really benefited from this. He's up 3 places from the started. Michael Weddle also up 5 places from when he started too. But the trouble is, by now we've got that kind of front 3. They're all kind of split up a little bit now as well. So It's great news to Jack Hare, of course, but the rest of the pack have got a little bit of work to do to close the gap.
Jack Hare will be loving this one, but he will also be thinking that it should have been like this in race number 1. Unfortunately, the car just didn't get going at the start. Andy Alston reckons it's a hardware issue. Whether that's his foot being the actual bit of hardware that wasn't working on the throttle pedal, I don't know, but unfortunately, he is away at the front in this one with 2.5 seconds in his pocket. Then there's a massive gap back. 6 seconds is the gap from Hare to Weddle. So it's a 4-second gap from Gronkowski back to Michael Weddle, and Michael Weddle has then got Fraser Williamson and Stuart McFadden, but Josh Hislop, I forgot about that, is in the middle of this as well, and Josh has kept his nose pretty much clean, although there's a dent in it just now, but Adam Brown really, it cost Adam Brown that crash. It looks like, Andy, he is actually out of that race completely.
Yes, yeah, I think he is out of this race at all. I just wonder if Fraser Williamson's just struggling with that car a little bit. It's very uncharacteristic from him, and look at that, he's been passed by Stuart McFadden, and Stuart McFadden, look, he is actually pulling away despite Fraser Williamson having the slipstream, so Fraser almost certainly has damage on that car, and that will be really affecting his performance as they come round the final chicane. And look at that, centimetres again from the barrier. Stuart McFadden's a 1:33.5 last time out, whereas Jack Hare has just posted the fastest lap of a 1:32.0. So yeah, Fraser's really struggling with that car, but it looks like he's going to try and make a move here as he go into the infield section of this lap, but no, Stuart's got it covered this time round, and he retains 5th place in this race.
Coming through turn 4 just now before they go along the back straight in towards 5. Josh Hislop and Michael Weddle. Well, Michael Weddle managed to... He's won 2 races today. He's not going to win this third one. I would imagine Jack Hare too far up the road, even though we're only a third of the way through the race, but he's not going to have the pace to try and catch Jack Hare. Jordan Gronkowski, well, he could maybe catch him. Let's see exactly what happens here, but Josh Hislop has got eyes for a podium, and it would be a very, very well-deserved podium for the young man in that number 23 car, the white, green and black car. There is quite a lot of these cars around just now, white, green and black. I don't know, somebody facing the wrong way. Hang on, that's Scott Malcolm, car number 74 in the X-Lite Energy iRacing car. He's... was he pushed or did he jump? That's the bit we don't know, and you know, he crashed, cracking stuff. Let's see a replay here. He's coming in, Scott Malcolm, and behind him, was it his own or what happened here? Have somebody having a bit of a look up the inside? Oh dear, turns around. Yeah, twice, Andy, into the wall and then a car into the side. That's going to hurt. That's going to damage the car, isn't it?
It certainly is, and it looks like he's out of this race, so it's not going to plan at all for him, unfortunately. Just a little dab of the brakes, and they seem to get a little bit unsettled, but. Yeah, it's not going to plan for him at all as we go back to the leader, Stuart McFadden, now 5th place. He's still got Fraser Williamson hot on his heels, so credit to Fraser. It's been a terrific bit of driving with a damaged car, and it looks like Stuart's just having a little bit of connectivity issues.
Yeah.
We're seeing him just go down the standards, but he's back with us now. Fraser Williamson again looking to put the pressure on, but again, Stuart's going to know, Duncan, he's going to know that Fraser's car is compromised, and he'll just be just taking it easy in the infield and just closing the door and preventing him from making a move.
Did you say connectivity there? That's a brilliant word if you did. I like that, yeah. Bit of a connection issue for Stuart McFadden. It's a new one for me, Andy, and I like it. I'm going to try and use that as much as I can. He is under pressure from Fraser, but he knows Fraser's got a damaged car. McFadden, you have to think, where's Stuart's head going to be at just now, Andy? Because he had race number 1 which didn't go to plan. Just didn't have the pace by the looks of things. Race number 2, he was unceremoniously taken off, or something happened at this corner here, and now he's in race number 3. He was on pole position, he had a bad start. So where do you think his head's going to be right now?
Well, we've got 7 and a bit minutes left in this race, and it would be... Oh, in fact, just a beg your pardon, I'm going to take a quick look at Jordan Gronkowski actually, because again, look at that, he's really making a bit of headway now, but he's got to look at that Stuart McFadden then close behind, and then there's Fraser Williamson as well, of course. But go back to Stuart, I think it's not going to plan for him, of course, but it's a long season, and if you get frustrated and you allow the race to get the better of you and you end up tumbling down the order and everything else, it will really compromise you in your championship standings. But look at that, there's a little bit of pressure here now with Stuart McFadden. Fraser Williamson looking to come in and get involved as well. Jordan Gronkowski's in tumbling down the order to 7th place. He's had a terrible couple of corners, and look at that, the car is very much battered and bruised, and I wonder if that is just starting to compromise Jordan now.
That happened on the chicane on the back straight. Something happened to Jordan there. He lost the position initially to Josh Hislop, and then McFadden, Williamson and Lamond have all gone past him from that chicane exit round to the start of the lap. So it really hasn't been a good one, as Andy Alston just said, for John Gronkowski. What's gone wrong, we don't know. We'll find out hopefully after the race. But that does put Josh Hislop onto the podium in the number 23 car. We did say that he was looking pretty handy. And not just handy, he's got himself onto the podium. He's worked away very calmly and casually over the couple of races we've had at Charlotte here, and now onto the podium. Can he get Michael Weddle? Well, maybe not. Let's see how he goes. Stuart McFadden, no. Fraser Williamson, and then just behind them, Nathan Lamond is well in car 222, another of these white and green cars. Then Jordan Gronkowski, who's just ahead of Aidan Wilson. Aidan with a really good showing in this one. His teammate John Higgins Jr. not having a very good one further back down though. And then we've got Rory Bryant and Sam Corson as well. Look at this, Rory Bryant. What is Bryant going to do? You've always got to watch Rory as he comes through 15 into 16 and 17. Is he going to go up the inside? He's half thinking about it, but Corson doesn't give him much room. But Rory uses a good bit of racecraft, cuts back on the exit of the corner, and he's going to have Sam Corson going into turn number 1. Can he hold it through turn through and up over into 3 and 4? It's so incredibly tight. Corson actually makes Rory Bryant pinch it back towards the apex, keeps the momentum on the outside, and holds the place off from Rory Bryant, Andy. So that was a good bit of clean, hard racing.
Certainly was. Great bit of defensive siding from Sam Corson, but he had a little dab of the brakes just coming out of the chicane there, Duncan. It did compromise his exit, but Rory couldn't quite make that move stick, and Sam lives to fight another day.
As we are looking on board with Scott Smith, the Knockhill mechanic here, and Scott Smith is looking back at Robert McGregor, and Robert was one of the guys that was involved in that little bit which helped Michael Weddle get the kind of jump on everybody in race 2 in the last lap. But this time Robert McGregor in 15th place chasing Scott Smith, having a much better race. 7 seconds is the lead at the front from Jack Ayre to Michael Weddle, and then it's just a second off Josh Hislop. So Michael Weddle and Josh Hislop still very much together. Stuart McFadden still being, his wing mirror or rearview mirror still being assaulted by Fraser Williamson there. He's got nothing else but Fraser Williamson all over the back of him, 369. But that little bit of damage must be compromising him, and that's Aidan Wilson. He's slow, he's got damage in the front left. Has he had an incident with somebody, Andy? Let's have a little look at a replay here. Down in towards the chicane. Does Aidan just lose it on the brakes on the way in? Down, in he comes. Oh, up the inside, Rory Bryant. Well, I should have known that was going to happen, Andy Alston, shouldn't we? We could see that. One of these things, unfortunately, a savage move from the driver and a savage comment from the commentator as we pick back up with Jack Ayre, who's going along the short chute between turn 4 and turn 5, where the track then starts to climb. We look back towards Michael Weddle, Josh Hislop, McFadden, Williamson and Nathan Lamond. Things starting to get a little bit tighter as we're 11 minutes 30 seconds, Andy, into race number 3. Yes,
Jack Ayre's just sailing off into the sunset, I have to say. Tremendous gap between him and Michael Weddle, but Michael and Josh are having a really good scrap for second place, and looks like Stuart McFadden again just having a little bit of lag affecting his connection to the race. But Fraser Williamson, he did try, but he just cannot find a way past that Pure Sims driver. Look how close he's getting now on the banking as they make their way towards the chicane. Will Fraser try and make a move here? But look how narrow a line he's taken there. It almost looked like Fraser Williamson was pushing Stuart McFadden up the straight there, but he's not managed to make a move this time round, and it looks like McFadden is retaining 4th place in this race.
Well, it's NASCAR territory, so a bit of bump drafting was never a bad thing. Both cars here actually sporting a bit of front end damage, so both cars with a bit of damage. Oh, Dave Christie's 3 wide going round NASCAR turn. Oh dear, Dave Christie, Dave Newman and Dale Smith as they come down towards the back straight. He who blinks first doesn't get the position. Christie on the inside with a power move. Oh, there's contact and nobody makes it. Well, there you go. Dale Smith will come through in the pink car, but Dave Christie does get the position. And that was just one of these things. I wouldn't like to be the racing judge over that one, but poor Dave Christie was in no fault of his own there. Let's hope he doesn't pick up the Gronkowski time penalty, which Jordan got for doing that. So through goes your race leader Jack Ayre. We've then got Michael Weddle and Josh Hislop still very much together. Josh Hislop giving us a glimpse at what this young man can actually do. So the more sim racing he gets, the faster he is going to get as well. Dale Smith heads to pit lane. We get told in our ears there, probably a bit of damage after that last one. And was that Michael Weddle in the wall there? Andy Alston joining Oval?
I did wonder that there, I have to say. It was very, very close, but it looks like he's he's managed to live to fight another day. He's got a little bit of a gap now between Josh Hislop, though, and having said that, a little over 2 minutes left in this race. Stuart McFadden still in 4th place. He's managing to hold on with all his mights. Fraser Williamson is putting lots of pressure on him, but it's just not happening for him. Look at Jordan Gronkowski, though. He's managed to make his way into 6th place, though. Will he make it stick? Yes, he will. Nathan Lamont, no reply there this time round, and it's been a good race, I feel, for John Gronkowski. It was challenging, as you mentioned, Duncan, with the incident at chicane, but he's managed to recover well, and he's got some good points on the board for the championship.
Yeah, well said, Andy Alston. We will be on to our last lap of race 3. 14 minutes, 17 seconds gone as Gronkowski in the Angel Wax car. His MX-5, exact same livery that his Formula Ford race car is. So his Van Diemen Formula Ford race car sports the same colour scheme. It looks great. Rory Bryant with John Higgins Jr. John Higgins Jr. into the top 10. Jr., that is a result for him if he can keep this going. But Rory Bryant's behind him, so who knows what's going to happen there as we pick back up with Jack Ayres. Jack comes off the infield section through turn 8 onto the oval. And this, Andy Alston, has been somewhat of a demonstration from Jack Ayres.
Oh, it's been a tremendous event, but I do get the sense that it's a bit of what might have been for Jack Ayres, because we know how quick he is, and he's really underlined that, I feel, at this event. But the secret now is he's got to put it together over the next few rounds if he wants to make headway in the championship. We know how fast he is, but he's just putting all the pieces together. But no, it's been a very, very impressive night for him.
It has that. The Rethink Racing driver with his wheels on the apron all the way through there, heading for checker flag. Weddle looks like he's safe in 2nd place from Josh Hislop, who probably won't do anything too Rory Bryant-esque in towards this last chicane. Over the checkered flag, I should say, goes the winner, Jack Ayres. Here comes Weddle for 2nd. 3rd place for Hislop, who throws everything at it at the end. McFadden is 4th from Fraser Williamson in 5th place. Jordan Gronkowski comes back with 6th, ahead of 222 Nathan Lamond, Sam Corson and Sean Harrington. John Higgins Jr. comes through for a fabulous top 10. He'll be happy with that one. And Aidan Wilson, his teammate, comes through for 11th place. And Rory Bryant, what happened to him on the last lap? Did anybody see that? Here's Robert McGregor coming in as well, just behind Sean Dobie. Robert McGregor throws his car at the sausage curb. And through he comes Dave Christie, who we saw having a moment at the chicane. No fault of his own. He's fighting with Mark Hearn. Mark Hearn tries to go down to say DC's not going to let that happen. The real DC holds on and does a nice move through the chicane. And he holds on to 17th place in the Camber Media car. Mark Hearn comes across with Cameron Ritchie and everybody else, finishing a somewhat mega race number 3, Andy Alston.
Wow, what a stunner there. It was, again, edge of your seat stuff there with Dave Christie at the final chicane. He was using all the track and a little bit more to defend that position, and credit to him, a good drive. And made 8 places on where he started this last race. So, yeah, good performance from him.
Let's hope Dave Christie comes in for the post-race chat. It'd be good to find out about him for exactly his point of view of that 3-wide into the chicane. We'll pick his brains and see if he can even remember it. But a cracking race there. Jack Ayres is your race winner from Michael Weddle, and Josh Hislop rounds out the race 3 podium. There was a bit of a happening in that one, which we lost Adam Brown. Unfortunately, it was more or less a pile up when Cameron Evans lost it in the chicane. Everybody else, Andy, just piled into him.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, again, because the barriers are so close to the edge of the track, if someone gets it wrong, it's just a domino effect, and it's a case of, you'll have your spotter in your headphones saying, go left, go right, but sometimes you can't go left, as you've got no option, and you just become damaged. You just become part of the damage of the incident, and your race is compromised.
Yeah, they always say for NASCAR's drive for the smoke, and that hopefully the car will be away, but the car was in the smoke there. Let's have a look at results for race number 3. Jack Ayres, the winner, for a 7-second victory margin over Michael Weddle, Josh Hislop, Stuart McFadden, Fraser Williamson, Jordan Gronkowski, Nathan Lamond, Sam Corser, Sean Warrington, and John Higgins Jr. gets inside the top 10. Just ahead of his teammate, Cameron Evans recovers from that big spin. He was involved in that, but he actually managed to get away from it where all the other cars hit the wall. He comes home in 12th, ahead of Rory Bryant, Scott Smith, Sean Dobie, Robert McGregor, Mark Hearn, and Cameron Ritchie in 18th place. The rest of the guys all classified further down: Jackie Chalmers, Dave Noonan, Steve Walsh, Ryan Smith, Jonathan Glover. And Andy, you have to start thinking these are the guys that were caught up in that accident: John Duncan, Dale Smith, all these, the rest of these people.
Yeah, absolutely. And just looking at the difference in the timing there, 55 seconds, 58, and then we're over a minute. So you're losing enough time as it is in the incident. But then, of course, when the car is damaged, then it's even more compromised. And look at that, we had a number of retirements there, it's fair to say. I think from Scott Malcolm downwards, things just haven't gone to plan at all for a number of those drivers. And yeah, it's just the nature of the beast around this track, I'm afraid. Yeah, if you just push that a little bit too much, it all goes wrong, and yeah, your race is ruined.
I thoroughly loved that. So we'll be back in just a quick minute. We will come back and have some driver interviews in just a second or two. So Jack Ayre joins us in our virtual sim broadcast commentary box here. Let's have a look, Jack. It was almost a story, as Andy Alston said, of what could have been. That last race was fabulous to watch you pull away at the front, but the first race really hurt you. What happened at the start? Yeah, it is. Andy did say that. Andy Alston reckoned it was a hardware issue, but I mean, we saw your pace in race 3 there. I mean, you know, that's what the guys at the front really didn't get to see, just how fast you were. Was it a case? Were you angry in that last race, Jack? Is that what really we were seeing there?
Jack, there's been lots of drama throughout in this event. Lots of cars just managing one collects another and what have you. How important was it just to get into a rhythm, do you find, around this track, particularly around that infield section where one corner leads into another, and it's just about keeping the car balanced and under control?
It certainly looked a good fun race from where we were sitting. What's the track like to drive, Jack, when you're actually in the car?
Hit those marks, and it's the same thing lap after lap, you know. And once you get into it, it's great fun.
Yeah, cracking stuff. Sorry we didn't get Jack's voice on screen there, but Jack here, thank you very much. We'll let you jump out of our commentary box now. I'd like to try and get Stuart McFadden in if we can, because Stuart McFadden had a bit of a disaster. Was it race number 1? I think it was race number 1, where he had a bit of an incident going in towards the chicane, and into the room he comes, reigning defending champ. But Stuart, I've got to ask you, what happened in race number 1 was it race 1 going into that chicane, or was it race number 2? I forget. There was a bit of a moment. Was there contact, or did you just unfortunately lose it on the brakes?
There was a little bit of contact. I think it was. I don't know if you're. Do you mean the one where I got hit, or the one where I hit someone?
No, it's the one where you got hit and you went kind of straight on up the escape road.
Yeah, that was that was race 1. No, it wasn't. I can't remember. Anyway, it was one of the races, but it was quite disappointing because it was race 2. It was race 2. There we go. And it was it was disappointing, but just got myself composed and got cracking on with trying to defend from Jack with a little bit of damaged car, but He got past, which then gave me a reverse pole for race 3. And I honestly don't know what happened in the start of race 3.
Yeah, sure. It looked fun. You had a good bit of pace, but a lot of damage out there for a lot of people. And thank you very much for joining us in the commentary box. We're gonna let you take yourself back out just now. We're gonna get Jack here back in because we didn't actually get Jack's voice online there. So thanks very much, Stuart. We'll catch up with you, and we'll get Jack back into our commentary box.
See you next week.
Thank you. We look forward to it. So away goes Stuart McFadden. We'll see you not next week. We'll see you in 2 weeks. But Jack here, we have you back in our commentary box. Can you hear us now okay, Jack?
I can. I could hear you before. Can you hear me now, guys?
I could hear you lovely. I mean, you've got such a good voice for commentary, by the way, just to let you know that. If you ever want a gig, just give me a shout and not kill. But yeah, give us a brief, I think a brief highlight of your night's racing at Charlotte. Go for it.
Oh, highlight was definitely banging 10 qualifying laps out in a row in race number 3. We'll not talk about the low and how I can't set off from a standing start. But yeah, if you didn't catch that on the stream, basically I couldn't shift up and had to wait for the revs to settle before I could get it into first. And yeah, I got a meatball flag, had to pit, and yeah, Bob's your uncle, that's it. So it's just a case of climbing back up through in race 2 to get to 7th, I think it was, which put me in 2nd position with the top 8 reverse for the final race. And just got lucky with everybody battling behind and drove my tyres off.
I think saying you got lucky was an understatement. Congratulations, mate. Thanks very much for coming back into our virtual commentary box as well. We'll catch up with you in a couple of weeks at Daytona.
Thank you, gents. Take care.
Cheers. Okay, Andy Alston. I'd like to get Dave Christie in and find out what happened with him. Do you fancy that, Andy Alston?
Yes, that would be great. Yes, let's have a wee chat with Dave.
Yeah, let's get DC in, and he's laughing before he's even in because as Vincent screamed, "It's a power move by Christie," and then somebody decided to hit the door of your car. Dave, what happened going into the back chicane when you were 3 wide?
What race was that? Because there was
race 3.
Race 3. Yeah, it just all went wrong. If you're on about the start at cold tires, I lost it all by myself.
No, it was when you were 3 wide down the back stretch, Dave. It was a good race for you though, and ultimately 2 cracking finishes. 18th, I think, was a good one for you, but up the whole evening for you. For us.
Frustrating, really frustrating. So much better than last time out at Road Atlanta. Had a decent bit of pace, managed to work my way through the back of the field to get myself, like you said, 18th. Did it again in race 3 there. Unfortunately, I got pushed wide. Got a 42-second time penalty, and that threw me all the way down order. But do you know what? For me, it's more about knowing that I can kind of keep up on pace with the midfield now. It feels really, really good.
Andy, is a 42 second penalty a normal thing, or is that just because it's Dave?
Oh, I couldn't possibly comment. No, I think, Dave, I'd be interested to get your thoughts on battling in the midfield, because we've got so many cars out there on track. What do you feel is the key to managing to just make your way through the order?
Patience, honestly. There was nothing that I was doing tonight. I wasn't doing any. I did in race 3. I did a couple of crazy overtakes, which pulled off. But races 1 and 2, it was just a case of me piddling about by myself, and everybody else was having all the incidents in front of me. So that's the only thing I could take away from tonight, is that every single lap for everyone in the field was like it was their last lap, and they just need to calm it down a bit.
Dave, thanks very much for coming into our commentary box. One very quick last question. What's it like, me and Andy now quizzing you rather than you talking to us in the ears?
I am living the dream. That's another thing checked off the bucket list, guys. I feel so privileged.
Dave Christie, thank you very much. We'll catch up with you in 2 weeks' time at the Daytona Road Course. We'll open the door and I'll let Andy Alston kick you out the commentary box. Thanks, Andy. Did you say Michael Weddle to me a minute ago, Andy Alston? I think we should get Michael Weddle in. Let's go for it, because Michael involved in some very, very hard racing there. Michael, congratulations first of all for taking the 2 victories in race number 1 and race number 2. Talk us through the whole event, because that looked just so much fun.
Oh yeah, that was crazy racing. Charlotte was always going to provide close racing because the draft was so strong. So it was kind of just a matter of trying to keep the nose clean, waiting for them to make mistakes, and it kind of paid off. I was just hanging back to see what Fraser and Adam were going to do, and kind of just pounced on it.
Michael, tell us a little bit about your approach going into Shane's, because the curbs are very, very big, and we've seen a lot. It was always 2 wheels on the road at one point as well. So, how did you kind of strike that balance between, just trying to get as much pace as possible through the corners and trying, of course, not to be too cautious.
Yeah, especially the first chicane was most important. If you took too much of the left curb, you kind of spat out the car and it kind of spun around. I think that's what happened to Cameron in race 3. He took too much of the left curb, kind of spun the car around. So you had to have a fine balance of knowing what curbs you could and couldn't hit. So, for example, the first chicane, you could take all the curb on the right. So I think that's what a lot of the guys were just going flying over.
Do you think racing not killing a mini helps you out when it comes to curb hopping?
Definitely.
Yeah, I know. I've seen your resume. I've seen you in action. But listen, congratulations, buddy. A fabulous night's racing, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks at Daytona for another effective Roval, if you'd like to call it that. So, cheers, Michael.
Cheers, guys. Looking forward to it.
Cheers. Okay, we'll open the door and we'll throw him under the bus now. Fraser Williamson's a man that I've never spoken to. So, congratulations, Fraser Williamson. That was, an action-packed event for us to watch you. But what was the highlight for you? What was the best part of the 3 races?
Probably race 3 lap 1 until race 3 lap 1 happened and everyone decided to crash. But that half lap was probably as good as it got. I made a stupid mistake in the final lap of race 1, which it shows the fact that I've been out of these sorts of cars for so long, out of MX-5s, where you're still battling to the last corner, and I chose wrong. So it wasn't a great evening all in all.
Fraser, tell us a little bit about how the car felt in that last race, because you were having a great scrap with Stuart McFadden, but it looked like there was times where you were almost just kind of falling back a little bit on the straights.
From lap 1 I had quite severe damage. I'm pretty sure I'll need to check now, and also had steering damage, so I was down on straight line speed, but I was still fine through the corners. Yes, so it was one of them. I'd catch up to Stuart under braking and through the corners, but I couldn't do anything on him on the straights. There was no point of me trying anything.
Sorry, Fraser, on you go.
Sadly, we lost the pack in front. I was kind of hoping Stuart would get in amongst them and I'd be able to catch somebody checking up or something, but there was no such freebie to be had.
It's a long championship, though, buddy, and you have got points, good points, strong points on the board at round 1 and round 2. So good luck for a couple of weeks' time at Daytona, and hopefully we'll get you back on the podium and in the commentary box. So thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks.
Okay, we're going to get Adam Brown in, and Adam will be our last guy in, I think. So Adam, he's in. Adam's already in. Adam, okay, first of all, fabulous racing. Really enjoyed watching you tonight. Unfortunate in race number 3, though. You took a fair old beating going through the chicane on the back straight.
Traffic, but what can you do? I mean, only thing I can do is protest it and hope it's all okay.
Yeah, and Adam, the thing is as well, though, I mean, the first couple of races, you got some very strong points on the board, and that's going to be important for the championship for you as well. Of course, it is still a long season, but going into the next round at Daytona, is that a track you're looking forward to?
I mean, I've done the Daytona 24 a couple of times on iRacing, and I mean, it's kind of similar to this track. You've got a weird infield, and then you've got a bus stop. So hopefully, I'm as fast there as I was here.
It sounds like you're going to be a man who's going to be featuring on the top 3 steps once again, and a cracking first 2 races. You gave all the viewers on us some great racing, and unfortunate in race number 3. We'll look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks, Adam.
Thank you.
No problem at all. Thank you very much to everybody who came in tonight for our virtual waiting room and to jump in the broadcast commentary booth with Andy Alston and myself, Duncan Vincent. We've had a cracking evening. The 3 races on the Charlotte Roval, Andy, they gave us exactly what we wanted.
No, they certainly did. It was non-stop drama once again from start to finish in the 3 races in our eSports Racing Spring Cup, and it's been a fantastic event so far, the Spring Cup, and the next round at Daytona promises more of the same. So I'm really looking forward to watching the action in a couple of weeks' time.
I've been Duncan Vincent. I've been with my wingman Andy Alston all evening, and Sim Broadcast, the live streaming partner for your sim racing event, have given us some fantastic pictures and sound. Until next time, guys, take care, thank you very much, and goodbye.